The grieving mother. This movie basically invented the rules that every slasher after it copied, and then it broke the biggest one before anyone even knew it existed. Camp Crystal Lake is reopening years after a kid drowned there, and the counselors getting the place ready start dying one by one. And the entire time, the camera keeps showing you the killer's point of view without ever showing a face. So you just assume it's some huge, terrifying guy hiding in the woods. Then Alice, the last survivor, runs into this sweet middle-aged woman in a knit sweater who pulls up in a Jeep offering to help. And that woman is Mrs. Voorhees, the mother of the boy who drowned, and she has been doing all of it herself, whispering encouragement to herself in her dead son's voice while she attacks. The reveal still works today because the movie weaponizes your own assumptions against you. Nobody suspects the nice mom. And the fact that Jason, the guy everybody associates with this franchise, isn't even the killer in the first movie is still one of the best trivia questions in horror history. The Magician. Terror Train takes place almost entirely on a moving train during a New Year's Eve costume party, which is honestly a perfect slasher setup because nobody can leave. 3 years earlier, a group of pre-med students pulled a cruel prank on a shy kid named Kenny that went horribly wrong and shattered him completely. Now somebody on the train is picking off everyone involved. And here's the clever part. The killer keeps taking the costume of each victim, so you never actually know what face to look for. For most of the movie, suspicion lands on this mysterious magician performing on board, played by an actual young David Copperfield, by the way. But when the mask finally comes off, the killer turns out to be Kenny himself, who has been hiding in plain sight the entire time, disguised as the magician's female assistant. And once you know that, every background shot of the assistant becomes really uncomfortable because he was standing right there, the whole movie just watching everyone. Cupid. Valentine is one of those early 2000s slashers that people wrote off completely, but the mystery setup is actually solid. Back in middle school, a nerdy kid named Jeremy Melton asked 4 girls to dance at a Valentine's party and got rejected and humiliated by all of them, including a false accusation that got him beaten up and sent away. 13 years later, somebody in a cherub mask starts hunting those same girls right before Valentine's Day, and his nose bleeds whenever he's about to strike. The whole movie you're trying to figure out which of the male characters is secretly Jeremy all grown up. And in the final scene, after the killer seems defeated, Kate stands there being comforted by her boyfriend Adam, and then his nose starts bleeding. The movie just ends right there on his face. No explanation, no fight, nothing. She's hugging the killer, and she has absolutely no idea, and only we get to see it. That final shot is doing more work than the entire rest of the movie. The animal masks. Your Next starts like 100 other home invasion movies. A wealthy family gathers at their remote estate for an anniversary dinner, and suddenly, guys in fox, lamb, and tiger masks start attacking the house with crossbows. Standard stuff, right? Except 2 things go wrong for the killers. First, one of the guests, Erin, turns out to have been raised on a survivalist compound. So instead of panicking, she starts setting traps and dismantling these guys one by one. And second, the masked men aren't random at all. The reveal lands when we learn the invaders were hired mercenaries, and the person who hired them is Crispian, the soft-spoken son who brought Erin to the dinner in the first place. He wanted the family inheritance, and his own girlfriend was just supposed to be a witness. His confused reaction when he finds out she survived. Everything is almost funny. The unmasking here isn't really about a mask. It's about realizing the most harmless-looking guy at the table planned the entire massacre and then ordered takeout while his family was being hunted. The imaginary friend. Malignant might have the most insane reveal on this entire list, and I mean that as a compliment. Madison keeps having these visions where she watches a leather-clad killer named Gabriel murder people in real time, like she's psychically linked to him. The police obviously don't believe her. The murders keep happening, and the movie lets you assume Gabriel is some supernatural entity from her childhood. Then the reveal happens, and it recontextualizes literally everything. Gabriel isn't a ghost or a demon. He's a parasitic twin who was surgically removed from the back of Madison's head when she was a kid, except they couldn't remove all of him. He's been dormant inside her skull her whole life. and when he takes over, her body moves backwards, which explains all the weird camera work you didn't think twice about. It's ridiculous, it's disgusting, and the movie commits to it 100%, which is exactly why horror fans still argue about it. The Yellow Raincoat. Alice, Sweet L Alice is from 1976, and it's still one of the meanest mysteries in horror. A little girl named Karen is killed during her own first communion, and every single clue points at her jealous older sister Alice, who owns the exact yellow raincoat and creepy translucent mask the killer wears. The movie spends its entire runtime convincing you that this disturbed 12-year-old is capable of murder, and honestly, Alice is unsettling enough that you believe it. But then the killer strikes again, while Alice is locked away where she couldn't possibly have done it. And eventually the mask comes off to reveal Mrs. Tredoni, the elderly housekeeper from the church, who has been punishing what she sees as sinful families out of a warped religious devotion. The reveal works because the movie made you spend 90 minutes suspecting a child, and the actual killer was the harmless old woman serving coffee in the background of half the scenes. The missing boy. Identity traps 10 strangers at a rain-flooded Nevada motel, and they start dying one by one with numbered motel keys left on the bodies. There's a limo driver, a cop transporting a convict, an actress, a family with a quiet little boy named Timmy, and the whole thing plays like a classic whodunit. Then, the movie pulls its first twist. None of these people are real. They're all personalities living inside the mind of a killer named Malcolm Rivers, and a psychiatrist is trying to eliminate the violent personality before Malcolm's execution. When the motel bloodbath ends, the surviving personality seems safe, and everyone relaxes. And that's exactly when the real unmasking happens. Timmy, the silent little boy who supposedly died halfway through the movie, was the murderous personality all along, and he's the one who survived. He was faking his own death inside a fake world. The reveal is so buried under the first twist that most people never see it coming. Babyface. The original Happy Death Day gets dismissed as a gimmick movie, but the mystery is legitimately well constructed. Tree, the most popular and most unpleasant sorority girl on campus, gets murdered on her birthday by someone in a babyface mask, and then wakes up that same morning and has to relive the day over and over until she figures out who's under it. She spends the loops following suspects around like a checklist, and the movie even makes you think it solved itself when a convicted killer at the hospital seems to be the guy. But he's a decoy. The actual killer is Lori, her own roommate, the girl who cheerfully hands her a birthday cupcake at the end of every single loop. The cupcake was the weapon the whole time, poisoned over and over across timelines. And the motive is as petty as it gets, jealousy over a guy. The best reveals are the ones sitting in plain sight, and this one was literally being handed to her every morning. The mother's love. Scream 2 had maybe the hardest job in horror history, following up the most famous Unmasking of the 90s, and it found the one answer nobody could have predicted by looking forward instead of backward. Sydney is now in college, a copycat. Ghostface is killing students, and the movie buries you in suspects, including her new boyfriend, who the movie practically begs you to accuse. When the masks finally come off, one killer is Mickey, the film school guy who wants to get caught and become famous through his trial, which was honestly ahead of its time. But the second reveal is the one that lands. The seemingly random local reporter following the case is actually Mrs. Loomis, Billy's mother, who has been planning revenge for her son's death since the first movie. She even calls it a mother's love, completely calm, like that explains everything. It's the same twist as the original Friday the 13th, a grieving mother nobody suspected, and Randy even explains that rule earlier in the movie. The film tells you the answer out loud, and you still miss it.